Hey guys, Ryan here from Wrestling Lists. We're going to look back at the 10 highest rated and most viewed episodes in WWE Raw history in today's episode. Let's not waste time and start with number 10. Number 10, 7th of June 1999. This show drew a 6.65 rating. Along with the sad passing of Owen Hart, Over the Edge 1999 also featured a WWE title match featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker. Undertaker defeated Austin at the pay-per-view. 2 weeks later on WWE Raw, Undertaker claimed that there was a higher power who was even greater than The Undertaker, and on this episode, he would reveal who the higher power is. The world tuned in to see this dark force who was greater than the legendary Undertaker. It was revealed, quite comically, that it was Vince McMahon. This was all done to continue the Vince and Steve Austin feud. It's definitely a memorable segment, with Vince proclaiming, "It was me, Austin, it was me all along." I do remember people were throwing out names at the time of who the higher power might be. Jake Roberts, Shawn Michaels and Ted DiBiase were all rumoured to be the higher power. It was later revealed that the fallen angel Christopher Daniels was going to be revealed as the Undertaker's superior power, but Vince put a stop to that after deciding that Christopher Daniels was too short. If you want the job done right, you gotta do it yourself, I guess. Number 9, the 28th of June 1999 episode of Monday Night Raw. This drew a 6.8 rating. Mere weeks after the higher power was revealed and the corporate ministry was established, Undertaker and Steve Austin main evented this episode of Raw in a match for the WWE Championship. This was also the night after King of the Ring, where Undertaker just defeated The Rock to hold on to his WWE Championship. After a solid match, Austin defeated The Undertaker to pick up the victory and thus became the new WWF Champion. Post-match, The Undertaker attacked Austin and busted him open. The second hour drew a huge 7.2 rating, with the overall rating for the show coming out to be 6.8. Number 8, the 27th of September 1999 episode. This show drew a 6.8 rating. Fans will remember this episode thanks to the This Is Your Life segment with The Rock and Mankind. The segment, which made Vince McMahon furious backstage because it went over the allotted time, drew a staggering 8.4 rating, the highest rated segment in the history of professional wrestling. It was a great comedy segment where Mick Foley brought out people who he deemed were important in The Rock's life, from his schoolteacher to his former girlfriend. The WWE Championship was also on the line in the main event as The Rock squared off against Triple H to end the show. Number 7, July 24th, 2000, drawing in a 6.9 rating. A blockbuster show featuring some big matches saw this episode of WWE Raw reel in some record numbers. Just coming off the fully loaded 2000 pay-per-view, the in-ring action kicked off with Steve Blackman defending his hardcore title against the Road Dogg. Stephanie and Shane McMahon teamed up to go against Big Show and Lita. Kurt Angle worked against The Undertaker. There was a triple threat tag match featuring the Hardys, the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. And the main event saw a tag match featuring Kane and The Rock squaring off against Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. Number 6, 24th of April 2000, drawing in a 7.1 rating. This show was in the middle of the McMahon-Helmsley era. Triple H was WWE Champion and Stephanie was the Women's Champion. This episode was a go-home show leading up to Backlash 2000. Fans tuned in here to see the conclusion of the McMahon family drama that had been unfolding for weeks prior. The week before, Triple H was about to pedigree Linda McMahon because she slapped her daughter Stephanie. It was all wacky stuff, but fans for whatever reason were eating it up. The main event saw The Rock team up with Chris Jericho to battle Triple H and Chris Benoit, with Shane McMahon as the special referee. The final hour drew a big 7.9 rating. And at number 5, the 22nd of May 2000 episode of Raw drew in a 7.1 rating. At WWE Judgment Day 2000, The Rock was defeated for his WWE Championship when Triple H won an Iron Man match against the People's Champion. Of note during this main event, however, was the return of The Undertaker. Undertaker returned with a new gimmick. Gone were the Druids' slow, creepy entrances and iconic theme music. Now, Undertaker was a motorcycle-riding American badass. People tuned in to see more of this new Undertaker gimmick the following night on Raw. Taker showed up to help The Rock fend off D-Generation X and the McMahons to end the show. American Badass Undertaker would stay in WWE up until WrestleMania 20, where the Deadman gimmick would make its return and American Badass Taker wouldn't be seen again. Number 4, July 26th, 1999. This show also drew a 7.1 rating. Fans were eager to see if Vince McMahon was a man of his word when they tuned into this episode of WWE Raw. The night before it fully loaded, Steve Austin defeated The Undertaker in a first blood match. If Austin won, Vince had to leave WWE forever and never show his face on WWE shows again. Vince did show up, but he wanted to leave on his own terms, so Steve Austin got Jim Ross to come into the ring to sing Vince McMahon out of the company and out of the arena. The crowd popped huge for this segment. Matches on this Raw also featured Ken Shamrock vs Triple H, The Acolytes vs Edge and Christian, and The Rock vs Chyna and Badass Billy Gunn in a handicap match. Number 3, May 24th, 1999, drawing in a 7.2 rating. This was a special episode of WWE Raw in memory of Owen Hart, who passed away a mere 24 hours before the show aired. Storylines, angles and planned matches were scrapped on this episode, and instead WWE aired interviews with talent and staff. The talent talked about their memories of Owen Hart. Wrestlers were given the option of working in the ring, with Vince McMahon not forcing anyone to work a match if they didn't want to. In the end, guys like The Rock, Triple H, Big Show, Goldust and Mankind decided to work. The show ended with Steve Austin paying tribute to Owen Hart, raising a beer for him in the middle of the ring. Number 2, May 1st, 2000. This show drew a 7.4 rating. This was the Fallout show from Backlash 2000, where The Rock had just become the new WWE Champion after defeating Triple H. On this episode of Raw, The Rock was put into a steel cage with Shane McMahon for the main event. Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe were referees for the match, while Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H were all at ringside. The odds were stacked against The Rock, but he managed to get the win. Other matches that night included Chris Benoit vs Taz for the Intercontinental title, Too Cool vs the Hardy Boys, and Chris Jericho vs X-Pac. And at number 1, the highest rated show in WWE history, drew an 8.1 rating, and it occurred on May 10th, 1999, taking place at the Orlando Arena. There can be arguments made as to why this ended up being the highest rated show. There was no Monday Nitro this week, and also no Monday Night Football. WWE had a huge chunk of their target demographic tuning into this Monday night, and therefore had an opportunity to show what they were made of. While the show did draw huge numbers, it wasn't exactly a 10 out of 10 show. Matches include Ken Shamrock vs Chyna, which didn't even get underway, Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe vs Rodney and Pete Gas, which lasted around 2 minutes, and Bradshaw vs Farouk, that also ended in about 2 minutes due to interference. It does make you wonder why WWE wouldn't have pulled all the stops for this show. Surely they knew they were unopposed on this Monday night, right? The main event saw Steve Austin, The Rock and Vince McMahon facing off against Triple H, Shane McMahon and The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels was the referee. The babyfaces won the match. This episode of Raw shows that even with a questionable match lineup, fans during this era would tune in anyway due to the drawing power of WWE's Attitude Era. It's also one of those shows that anti-Attitude Era fans can point to, as it's a prime example of a mediocre show that drew insanely high numbers. The stars were aligned this night for Vince to knock it out of the park with all eyes on Raw. It's a shame the match quality was questionable though. Thanks for watching guys. Subscribing and giving me a thumbs up really does help the show and channel, and it only takes a second. See you next time.